Hello everyone, this is Nick Perry of Schaeffer's Investment Research with your chart slide show for Wednesday, November 22nd. Today I am back with my weekly check of the broad market indices. In last week's chart slide show, we were looking at the charts just ahead of a couple of key events. The FOMC minutes were due out that day, and the following morning we had the CPI report. And I talked about how that could maybe induce a bit of volatility into the charts. Um, you know, Before we got to that, though, we were discussing the fact that we'd seen a breakout on the comp and the RUT. The SPX and the Dow were also kind of breaking out of their little mini consolidations. When we turn to this week's charts, we see that my concerns about volatility were completely and utterly unfounded. The indices have more or less just gone into just a sideways grind with a slight upward bias. I mean, you can see it's a very tight move sideways. There's been, in fact, almost no volatility. One of the things that I said I was watching last week was this little, mini consolidation and the breakout above that. The FOMC minutes, the CPI didn't do a whole lot to change the picture, and then once those were out of the way, the action pretty much dried up as we headed into this holiday shortened week. So basically what happened was we got the reports out of the way, and a lot of people just sort of seems like it moved to the sidelines and just sort of said, we're just going to hold pat until, wait till next week's over, get the holiday out of the way. So that's kind of where we stand at the moment. The comp and the RUT both broke above those former highs we'd been discussing. On the RUT, the red line was the previous all-time high, and you can see that we pushed above that, and we actually saw just a little bit of a pullback and a retest of that and a bounce off of that zone. But clearly the action this week has been pretty quiet. As far as takeaways, I really don't have too much from this week. If you've been reading the blog, you've seen that one of the things I discuss is that I look at technicals as a way to sort of gauge the underlying supply and demand. When you've got a situation like this week where you've got the holiday on Thursday, you've got a short session on Friday, and pretty much everybody by noon on Wednesday is pretty much checked out of the street. You just don't have full participation. And when you don't have full participation, you get a lot of whipsaw moves, you get a lot of noise, you get a lot of just whippy action that isn't necessarily meaningful. So during holidays, during times of real light liquidity, I don't put a whole lot of weight on the charts. So if we had seen a big reversal this week, I probably wouldn't put as much weight on that as if it had been a normal trading week. Given that we saw virtually nothing since the last chart slideshow, we've seen no major changes. The takeaway therefore is still the same, that the uptrends are still intact. The indices seem content to grind higher. This is a function of money coming in and boosting stocks. So as of today, there doesn't appear to be much that looks to derail the trends. But as always, stay tuned to the blog for further updates, and have a nice Thanksgiving.